Hey everyone, I'm Joe Schwartz,
And I'm Jess Beitner.
and today we're going to work on Steve Rogers. He's taking a break from being Captain America, and he's having some trouble playing some softball. He's 25 years old and having a lot of difficulty with his external range of motion throwing this kind of motion here, and he's also having some limitations in thoracic mobility and extension. His gross shoulder range MMTs were 4 out of 5, and he's got some little bit forward head and shoulder posture. So we're going to try and work on all this stuff and try and get him back to playing softball as soon as possible. And so in the early phase, what we want to do is we want to just kind of increase his shoulder range of motion and also increase his thoracic extension and mobility. And so we're going to do light exercises to help get into that, increase that range of motion while also limiting his pain before we start really improving his strength and getting into more functional activities. So with our first exercise right here, I want to work on the shoulder range of motion. And so what I'm going to do is a contract, relax, while Jess is lying supine, and try to improve this shoulder external range of motion at a pain-free level. So go ahead and lay on the table on your back, and I'm going to have her with her elbow just off the edge of the table. And we're going to get this nice 90-90 position right here. Let's get this just for comfort level, and I'm going to have her find wherever that external range of motion right before it limits the pain, and I'll have her push into my hand gently, and we're going to do a 5-second hold right here and relax, and then we're just going to slowly increase this external range of motion, and then I'm going to press again, 5 seconds, go ahead and relax and gently increase again. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep doing this until we get to the point where she's not getting increased range of motion because of pain. But if we can keep going and keep going, we're going to do that. But our goal is to do these 5-second holds 10 to 15 times, and we want to do this every day. Slowly increase that range of motion in a pain-free environment.
All right. So next up, we're going to do some thoracic rotation open books, as you may have heard of them called. For this one, we want the patient lying on their side. And this one is really going to help increase that thoracic rotation and a little bit of extension as well. So that'll kind of help with their wind up when they're going to throw and help with that posture that they're having with the forward head posture. So for this one, I'm going to have Joe lay sideways on the table. And you want to instruct the patient to bring their arms out just like so. And then you're going to tell them to move the fingertips slightly forward on that hand and then rotate their upper body following that hand with their head and eyes as well. And then come back in slowly. We want to do about 20 repetitions on each side for this one. And we want to make sure that they're doing that at least 2 to 3 times per day or more if they're having a lot of stiffness in that upper back area. Good. All right.
Okay, now we're in the intermediate stage of Steve Rogers' recovery, so we're going to implement a little bit more technical kind of stuff to improve the strengthening while also still working on the range of motion at the same time. So what I want to do for my exercise is to continue to increase that external range of motion and kind of mimic more throwing. So we're going to add a resistance band, and we're going to go in a couple different directions, one to really increase external range of motion and one to really increase internal range of motion, which are both needed for throwing properly because you have to go back and then throw. So first we're going to start slow, and then we're going to hype it up a little bit. So Jess is going to show right here. And so we're going to have her grab this resistance band, and we're going to get in the 90-90 position again. And I have her just go down, gentle, and back up, down, back up. And then as we progress this, we're going to move to quicker motion. So she's going to go quick, quick. Perfect. And then we're also going to try a little bit in this direction as well. Not exactly in the shot, but we're going to start up there, and you're going to shoot up. Good. Same thing. Perfect. So early on, I want to start with 2 sets of 20. And as she progresses, get to 3 sets of 20. I want it more of like an endurance exercise because she's going to, Steve over here is going to be throwing throughout the game, not just a couple times. So it needs to be something that's done over and over again. And the power portion allows for really getting that speed in all the throws.
All right, so to work on the thoracic portion, we are going to do some resisted thoracic rotations. We're going to start with just arms straight out ahead and going into a little bit of thoracic rotation just to work on those core stabilizers, kind of work on that shoulder stabilization, and then also mimic the motion of being at bat for softball. So we'll go ahead and demonstrate that here. So you'd want the band behind you so you can grab some resistance from it. And then, Joe, I'm going to have you put your arms straight out in front of you, just like that. And then go ahead and keep your feet at about hip width apart and try to keep your hips nice and stable. And then try to rotate the upper portion of your body. Perfect, just like that. Good. And for this one, we are going to want to do 3 sets of 15, 3 to 4 times per week on each side. And that way we can kind of work into that endurance for that swing phase of softball. And then we can also work on strengthening the core muscles and shoulder as well. One other progression for this, we can actually incorporate that swinging motion of the bat. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that really quick. So Joe, go ahead and act like you're going to swing a bat for me with that resistance. Good. So as you can see, this is a really natural transition into an actual swing for softball rather than just thoracic rotation.
Okay, so we've reached kind of the end stage of Steve Rogers' recovery, and so what we want to do is really implement kind of throwing specific tasks. His range of motion is all there, it's all good. We really want to increase his strength, and by getting into motions that he should be using out on the softball field. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to have Jess get on the knee right here, and we're going to work on shoulder external range of motion, kind of eccentric control going down and whipping it back up. And this will kind of mimic her throwing motion. So go ahead and we're going to have her right knee down, her left forward, and we're going to throw in a couple different kind of ranges of motion. So the first one, I'm just going to throw the ball and she's going to catch it and slowly go down this way, the eccentric control of her external rotators, and then whip it back at me. Good. Perfect. And so we're going to do this. We're going to do 2 sets of 20 for this one. Give her a little bit of break in between each one. Allow the shoulder to recover a little bit. And then this different motion we're going to do right now is going to be more of the throwing. So she's going to come across as she catches it. She's going to come across. You're going to catch it here. Kind of go across your knee as if you're throwing a softball. And then she's going to throw it back. And as the screen ball gets a little bit easier, we can start increasing more weight to really improve that shoulder strength. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get up there. You're going to catch it as it goes down. So I'm going to come at a different angle this way. That way she has to come across her body to catch it. Cross and throw it back. Good. Good. And we're going to do 2 sets of 20 with this again, ensuring proper breaks. And this will really help get her back on the field with that throwing motion.
So after that progression, we're going to move on to a resisted full-blown throw. With this one, we're going to have Joe go into his pitching stance, and then I'm going to have him hold a resistance band. And you can either attach this into the door if they're at home, or you can hold it as the therapist as well. And you're going to have him go through that entire motion with the band. And we'll demonstrate it here in a second. For this one, I want to work into 2 sets of 20. Giving him a break in between, but then we can also start increasing the resistance band if that's getting too easy, or we can also put him on an unstable surface to kind of get a balance component in there as well. So we'll go ahead and demonstrate that. So you're going to hold the resistance band back here, have him kind of wrap it around his hand. Go ahead and start in that throwing stance. Move through the whole entire motion. Good. Good, you can go and stop. And that really works on strengthening of those shoulder muscles that we've been working on this whole time and kind of incorporates everything into what he wants to get back into.
These last two exercises we've performed, we want to do these 3 to 4 times a week. We don't necessarily do these every day because while it is a functional activity, there is a lot of resistive elements to it, so we want to make sure we don't overwork these shoulder muscles. And yeah, that's all we got.
All right.